In a world that never stops moving, where every moment is filled with noise, demands, and relentless pressure, finding true peace might seem like a distant dream. But what if I told you that tranquility isn't found in escaping your life, but in changing how you live it? This isn't about retreat. It's about transformation. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy designed for modern chaos, teaches us not just to survive, but to thrive amidst life's storms by mastering the art of control. Control not over others, but over ourselves. Welcome to Stoic Journal, where ancient wisdom meets modern challenges. If you're ready to embrace Stoic strategies that will empower you to sail through life's turbulent waters with grace and resilience, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into the core of Stoicism, exploring how this timeless wisdom can be more than just a philosophy. It can be a practical toolkit for living a richer, more resilient life. So, if you're looking to turn challenges into opportunities and cultivate a steadfast serenity that lasts, stay tuned. Together, we'll unlock the secrets of Stoicism and discover how to harness its power every single day. Join me in embracing a life where every obstacle becomes a stepping stone to personal growth and fulfillment. If you appreciate what we're doing here and want to support this journey into Stoicism, a simple favor I'll ask from you is to hit the subscribe button. And don't skip any part of the video. We've packed it with insights that unfold step by step, each one building on the last to transform your understanding and your life. When we dive into the teachings of Stoicism, one of the most powerful and life-changing principles we encounter is the concept of control. It's fascinating how this ancient philosophy, developed over 2 millennia ago, provides us with a tool so essential for our modern hectic lives. Stoicism teaches us a simple yet profound truth. Our true power lies not in extending our reach over the external world, but in mastering our own inner responses. This concept isn't about gaining control over others or the circumstances we find ourselves in. Rather, it's about understanding what is truly within our grasp, our thoughts, our reactions, and our actions. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves feeling frustrated or upset over things we simply cannot change? Maybe it's the weather ruining our weekend plans or a friend running late to a meetup. Our natural inclination might be to let these external events disturb our peace. However, Stoicism invites us to shift our focus. Instead of ruminating on the uncontrollable, Stoicism encourages us to ask, what can I control in this situation? The answer is almost always related to our internal state, our mindset, our readiness to adapt, and our decision on how to respond. This principle of focusing on what we can control helps us build resilience against the chaos of everyday life. By anchoring our energy on our internal state, we create a kind of mental fortress that external circumstances cannot breach. For instance, when facing a traffic jam that makes us late for an important appointment, instead of stewing in anger and frustration, Stoicism teaches us to use that time to reflect, plan our day, or simply enjoy some music. This change in perspective doesn't alter the traffic, but it dramatically transforms our experience of it. Moreover, understanding control is about accepting the limits of our influence. This acceptance does not mean resignation, but rather a strategic redirection of our efforts toward areas where we can make a real impact. It's like being the captain of a ship in a storm. While you can't control the storm, you have the authority over how you steer the ship and manage the crew. This metaphor encapsulates the Stoic approach, managing our ship, ourselves, with wisdom and integrity, regardless of the storm and challenges around us. Practicing this Stoic principle also means preparing ourselves for various outcomes. It teaches us to remain composed, not only when things go our way, but also when they don't. This level of detachment from outcomes is incredibly freeing. It allows us to engage in our activities with full effort and commitment, but without the heavy burden of needing certain outcomes for our happiness. This is what Stoics mean when they talk about selective indifference, caring deeply about our actions and efforts, while being indifferent to the fluctuations of fortune. The Stoic understanding of control is a powerful antidote to stress and anxiety. It grounds us in the present and focuses us on the actionable, empowering us to live with intention and tranquility. By internalizing this lesson, we don't just cope with life's unpredictabilities, we thrive amidst them. We become proactive participants in our lives, choosing responses that align with our deepest values, rather than being reactive to every external stimulus. Embracing the Stoic practice of focusing on what we can control doesn't happen overnight. It requires mindfulness, self-reflection, and regular practice. But the rewards, increased serenity, effectiveness, and a profound sense of empowerment, are well worth the effort. As we continue to explore Stoicism, let's keep this foundational principle in mind. It's not just about reading and understanding Stoic philosophy, it's about living it, one controlled, thoughtful response at a time. In Stoic philosophy, virtue is not just a moral compass, but the very core of a fulfilling life. It's interesting how Stoicism aligns the pursuit of virtue with the pursuit of happiness, a concept that might seem counterintuitive in today's fast-paced world, where happiness is often equated with pleasure or success. But Stoics view it differently. For them, happiness isn't found in external achievements or material possessions, but in living a life of virtue. So, what exactly does virtue mean in Stoicism? It encompasses four main qualities: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Each of these virtues plays a crucial role in how we navigate our lives. Wisdom involves the insightful understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Courage is about facing life's challenges with resilience and bravery. Justice relates to treating others with fairness and kindness. Temperance is the art of self-control and moderation. Together, these virtues form the Stoic ideal of a well-lived life. The Stoic pursuit of happiness through virtue is fundamentally different from the fleeting pleasures we often chase. Stoicism teaches us that true happiness is a state of inner peace and satisfaction that comes from knowing you've lived well according to your own principles. This kind of happiness is stable and enduring. It doesn't evaporate when external conditions change, because it's based not on what happens to us, but on how we choose to respond. This approach to happiness is incredibly empowering. It suggests that regardless of our external circumstances, we have the capacity to cultivate happiness within ourselves by developing virtuous qualities. Think about the implications of that. It means that our emotional and psychological well-being doesn't have to be at the mercy of our surroundings or situations, which are often beyond our control. Instead, happiness becomes something we actively build through our choices and actions. Practicing Stoic virtue also means striving to be better each day. It's about personal growth and self-improvement. For instance, when we practice temperance, we learn to resist impulses that might lead to excess or harm. When we practice justice, we contribute positively to our communities, promoting a sense of goodwill and support. Each act of virtue not only enhances our own lives, but also touches the lives of others around us, creating a ripple effect of positivity. Moreover, the Stoic link between virtue and happiness teaches us about the importance of aligning our actions with our values. In a world where we are often pulled in different directions by conflicting desires and pressures, Stoicism offers a clear directive: focus on living virtuously. This simplifies decision-making and reduces the stress and anxiety associated with trying to please everyone or achieve perfection. It guides us to focus on being good, rather than merely feeling good or looking good. Embracing Stoic virtues isn't about suppressing emotions or denying pleasure. It's about finding a deeper, more meaningful kind of happiness that sustains us through life's ups and downs. It challenges us to look beyond immediate gratification and consider the long-term effects of our actions on our character and well-being. In practice, living a life of Stoic virtue can be challenging. It requires constant vigilance and effort. It asks us to be mindful of our actions and choices, to reflect regularly on our behavior, and to strive continually towards embodying the Stoic ideals. But the payoff is immense. As we align more closely with these virtues, we find that our lives are richer, our relationships are stronger, and our souls are calmer. So, as we journey through the teachings of Stoicism, let's keep in mind that virtue is the key to genuine, lasting happiness. It's not an easy path, but it is a rewarding one, filled with growth, resilience, and a deep sense of fulfillment. In the pursuit of Stoic happiness, every step we take in virtue is a step towards a more peaceful and meaningful life. One of the most compelling aspects of Stoicism is how it teaches us to reframe our perceptions to change our reality. This concept might sound a bit like modern psychology, and you'd be right to think there are parallels. Stoicism, however, takes this idea back thousands of years and integrates it into a broader philosophy that addresses how we can lead fulfilling lives by focusing on what we truly control. So, how does Stoicism help us reframe our perception? It starts with the premise that it's not the events themselves that upset us, but rather our opinions about them. For example, if you get caught in a rainstorm and feel miserable, it's not necessarily the rain that's causing your misery, it's your perception of the situation. Perhaps you see the rain as an annoyance rather than a natural occurrence that brings much needed water to the earth. This shift in thinking, from seeing the rain as a personal inconvenience to viewing it as a beneficial ecological event, changes your emotional response to it. This Stoic principle of reframing perception is incredibly powerful because it puts us back in the driver's seat of our own emotions. Instead of being tossed around by external events, we get to choose our responses. This is done through what Stoics call the dichotomy of control, which is simply distinguishing between what we can control and what we can't. We can't control the weather, the traffic, or other people's actions, but we can control our reactions to these things. Let's dive a bit deeper into how this works in practice. Imagine you're working on a project at work, and suddenly there's a change in project direction due to external factors beyond your control. You might initially feel frustrated or anxious about the changes and additional work. However, by applying Stoic thinking, you can reframe this situation. Instead of viewing it as a setback, see it as an opportunity to learn new skills or to demonstrate your flexibility and creativity. This doesn't just change how you feel about the situation, it changes the situation itself in terms of your experience of it. Moreover, this reframing of perception, according to Stoic principles, goes beyond mere positive thinking. It's about seeing the truth of a situation more clearly. It involves understanding the nature of the world as one of change and unpredictability, and then aligning our expectations and actions accordingly. This alignment reduces our disappointments and enhances our resilience, as we are no longer fighting against the inevitable flow of life, but moving with it. The practice of reframing perception also encourages us to focus on the present moment, instead of getting lost in regrets about the past or worries about the future. Stoicism teaches us to concentrate on the here and now, on what we are doing at this moment, and how we can do it with virtue. This focus is liberating because it narrows down the vast array of things that might concern us to the few things we can actually influence. Reframing perception and reality in Stoicism isn't just a coping mechanism, it's a transformative process that leads to true inner peace. By consistently applying this Stoic practice, we begin to see that many of the walls we face are ones we have built ourselves with our misconceptions and misplaced beliefs. Breaking down these walls doesn't just change our view of the world, it changes the world we live in. The Stoic practice of reframing our perceptions is about understanding the true nature of events, recognizing our power to choose our responses, and focusing our efforts on what we can actually influence. This approach doesn't just help us handle life's challenges more effectively, it empowers us to lead lives marked by calm, clarity, and purpose. As we continue to explore and apply these Stoic teachings, we find that the quality of our lives is not determined by external circumstances, but by the perceptions and choices we make. In Stoicism, one of the most profound and perhaps most challenging concepts is amor fati, which translates to love of fate. This isn't just about accepting whatever life throws at us. It's about embracing it with open arms, not just as an unavoidable reality, but as something beneficial and necessary for our growth. It's a powerful idea that turns potential adversity into a source of strength. How do we begin to not just accept but love our fate? It starts with understanding that everything that happens can be seen as an opportunity. Stoicism teaches us that our character is formed not through our experiences, but through our responses to those experiences. When we love our fate, we are essentially saying that we trust in the natural flow of life and believe there is value in whatever happens. This doesn't mean we desire or wish for suffering or hardship, but rather that we find peace and purpose in the inevitability of such experiences. The beauty of amor fati lies in its radical optimism. Instead of fighting against the currents of life, we learn to swim with them. This perspective doesn't come easily, of course. It requires a deep philosophical shift, a sort of mental rewiring that allows us to see the silver linings in dark clouds without being naive or dismissive of the hardships. For example, if you lose a job, it's natural to feel upset and anxious. However, embracing amor fati would involve a shift in perspective, where you might see this event as an opportunity to pursue a path more aligned with your true passions, or to develop resilience and adaptability. Embracing amor fati also means letting go of bitterness and regret. Stoicism doesn't ask us to forget the past or ignore the pain. Instead, it encourages us to acknowledge our feelings, but not to allow them to control us. By loving our fate, we accept the past for what it is, a part of our journey that has led us to where we are now, contributing to who we have become. This acceptance frees us from the weight of past grievances, allowing us to move forward with a lighter spirit and a clearer mind. Moreover, amor fati is about finding joy in the journey itself, not just a destination. It's easy to think we'll be happy when we reach a certain milestone, when we get that job, when we buy that house, when we retire. But Stoicism teaches us that there's a profound joy available to us right here and now, in this very moment, if only we choose to see and embrace it. This doesn't mean we stop striving or becoming. It means we cherish the process as much as, if not more than, the outcomes. In practical terms, living with amor fati can start with small steps. It might mean taking a moment each day to reflect on something that didn't go as planned and finding something valuable in that experience. Perhaps it taught you a lesson, or maybe it strengthened a relationship through shared struggle. It could also involve more significant life changes, such as choosing a career path that feels true to your core values, even if it's less conventional or secure. Trusting that the challenges along the way will enrich your life's narrative. Amor fati enriches our lives by deepening our connection to the world and to ourselves. It helps us cultivate an inner resilience that acts as an anchor in the stormy seas of life. This love of fate doesn't make life easier, but it does make us stronger and more harmoniously aligned with the natural course of events. As we continue to explore Stoicism, let's try to see amor fati not just as a philosophical concept, but as a daily practice, a way to embrace each moment, each challenge, and each joy that life offers. By doing so, we transform our relationship with life itself, turning every experience into a pathway to greater wisdom and peace. Embarking on the journey to Stoicism is like starting a profound adventure, one that invites us to explore deep insights into our lives and fundamentally change how we interact with the world around us. It's not merely about learning a set of theories. It's about transforming those theories into everyday practices that strengthen our resilience, enhance our happiness, and deepen our understanding of life. The journey begins with a simple yet profound shift in perspective, recognizing that while we can't control external events, we can control our responses to them. This realization is the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. It's a liberating concept that frees us from feeling victimized by circumstances or other people's actions. Instead, it empowers us to take charge of our inner world. As we delve deeper into Stoicism, we learn to cultivate 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Each of these virtues is not just an abstract ideal, but a practical guide to living well. Wisdom teaches us to see things as they really are. Courage gives us the strength to face challenges head-on. Justice guides us to treat others fairly. And temperance helps us find balance in all things. Embracing these virtues in daily life can be challenging, but also incredibly rewarding. Another key aspect of the Stoic journey is developing mindfulness, being fully present in the moment. This practice helps us become more aware of our thoughts, feelings, and reactions. By observing ourselves without judgment, we can start to identify patterns that might lead us away from our Stoic ideals. For instance, we might notice that we tend to react impulsively when we're stressed, or that we hold on to grudges longer than is healthy. Awareness is the first step toward change. Practical exercises are also integral to this journey. One such exercise is the evening reflection, where we review our day and assess how well we lived up to our Stoic principles. Did we handle a stressful situation with composure? Did we treat everyone we encountered with fairness and kindness? These reflections not only help us learn from our experiences, but also reinforce our commitment to living a Stoic life. The journey to Stoicism also involves embracing challenges as opportunities for growth. This perspective shift is essential because it turns every obstacle into a teacher. When we face difficulties, instead of feeling defeated, we can ask ourselves, what can this situation teach me? This approach not only makes us more resilient, but also more open to learning and personal development. Furthermore, Stoicism encourages us to build a community or seek out like-minded individuals who are also on this path. Having a support system can be incredibly beneficial, as it provides us with encouragement, different perspectives, and companionship on our journey. Sharing experiences and challenges with others who understand and appreciate Stoic principles can enhance our own understanding and application of Stoicism. Finally, the journey to Stoicism is a lifelong pursuit. It's not about reaching a state of perfection, but about striving toward continuous improvement. It's about becoming more virtuous, more resilient, and more aligned with our true selves each day. As we progress, we'll find that the rewards of this philosophical path are not just about personal tranquility and resilience. They extend to improving our relationships with others and positively impacting the world around us. The journey to Stoicism is about growth and transformation. It challenges us to look inward, reassess our values, and align our actions with those values. It teaches us to be strong in the face of adversity and compassionate in our dealings with others. It's a path that not only enhances our own lives, but also has the potential to enrich the lives of everyone around us. Let's embrace this journey with open hearts and minds, ready to learn and grow in ways we might never have imagined. Integrating Stoicism into daily life is about much more than adopting a philosophical outlook. It's about transforming abstract Stoic principles into concrete actions and habits that enhance our everyday experiences. Practical Stoicism isn't just for times of crisis or philosophical reflection. It's for the ordinary moments, the everyday decisions, and the small challenges that shape our lives. The first step in practicing Stoicism daily is starting each day with intentionality. This means setting a few minutes aside each morning to contemplate the day ahead and remind ourselves of the Stoic virtues we aim to embody: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. It's about asking ourselves how we can apply these virtues in the day's activities. For example, how will I exhibit temperance in my eating habits or spending? How can I practice courage in my workplace or personal challenges? This morning ritual sets a purposeful tone for the day, aligning our actions with our Stoic ideals. Throughout the day, practical Stoicism involves being mindful of our reactions to events and people. It's about observing our automatic responses and asking whether they align with Stoic principles. When something doesn't go as planned, instead of reacting with frustration or anger, we pause and consider a more measured Stoic response. This might mean taking a deep breath and recalling the Stoic view that we can control our reactions, even if we can't control external events. This habit of pausing and choosing our response can transform our interactions and significantly reduce stress and conflict in our lives. Another key aspect of practical Stoicism is dealing with negative emotions effectively. Stoicism teaches us that negative emotions are often the result of mistaken judgments or excessive attachments to things beyond our control. When we feel overwhelmed by negative emotions, it's helpful to step back and analyze their source. Are we upset because of something outside our control? Are we placing too much importance on external validation or material success? By questioning the roots of our emotions and aligning our expectations with Stoic principles, we can regain our composure and perspective. Practical Stoicism also extends to how we handle interpersonal relationships. Stoics emphasize the importance of justice and kindness in dealing with others. This means practicing empathy, being fair in our judgments, and considering the common good in our decisions. It's about treating others with respect and understanding, even when we disagree or when others do not treat us as we'd hope. By embodying these virtues in our relationships, we not only live more stoically but also contribute to a more harmonious and supportive community. In our pursuit of personal growth, practical Stoicism encourages us to reflect on our day each evening. This isn't about harsh self-criticism, but about honest self-assessment. What did I do well today? Where could I have been more stoic? This practice of evening reflection helps solidify the day's lessons and prepares us to be even more virtuous and resilient tomorrow. It reinforces the Stoic commitment to continual improvement and helps us track our progress in living a Stoic life. Finally, practical Stoicism involves embracing challenges as opportunities for growth and learning. This means viewing obstacles not as impediments but as chances to practice and strengthen our Stoic virtues. Whether it's a difficult project at work, a personal setback, or an unexpected change in plans, each challenge is a chance to apply Stoic wisdom and resilience. By integrating these practices into our daily lives, Stoicism becomes not just a philosophy we read about, but a vibrant, living guide. It influences how we think, how we react, how we relate to others, and how we understand the world. Through practical Stoicism, we don't just survive the vicissitudes of life, we thrive amidst them, finding deeper satisfaction and peace in our journey through life. As we close today's journey into the heart of Stoicism, remember that embracing this philosophy is about more than just understanding. It's about living. Each moment, each decision, and each challenge offers a new opportunity to practice resilience, wisdom, and virtue. By integrating Stoicism into our daily lives, we don't just change ourselves. We change our entire world, one thoughtful action at a time. Modern life is like a chaotic whirlwind, where focus has become a luxury. We are swept up in the vortex of information, social media, and fleeting pleasures, forgetting the most important thing, ourselves. Several times over. If you don't control your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you will forever be a puppet of the outside world. By the end of this video, you will have a toolkit that not only helps shield you from distractions, but also steers you toward a life of purpose and control. If you appreciate what we're doing here, a simple, free favor you could do is hit that subscribe button and stick with us throughout the whole video. Trust me, you won't want to miss a beat. Let's unlock the secrets to living a focused, purpose-driven life. Taking charge of your life is more than just a power move. It's necessary for anyone looking to break free from the relentless pull of modern distractions and pressures. You know, there's something incredibly empowering about realizing that you, and only you, have the ultimate say over your thoughts, emotions, and daily actions. It's like waking up one day and understanding that the reins of your life are and always have been in your hands. Now, Stoicism teaches us the importance of focusing on what we can control, our own actions and reactions. The ancient Stoics believed that while we can't control the world around us, we can control how we respond to it. Think about that for a moment. Every day we face a barrage of decisions: what to prioritize, how to respond to challenges, and where to invest our energy. If we don't make these decisions consciously, we're just reacting to what life throws at us. But when we start to take control, we're not just reacting anymore. We're acting with purpose and intention. And here's the real kicker. Taking control of your life doesn't mean you have to do everything alone or become a lone wolf. Instead, it's about understanding your value, aligning your actions with those values, and setting boundaries that help you stay true to yourself. It's about recognizing when to say yes, and more importantly, when to say no. How often have you found yourself stretched too thin, committed to tasks or engagements that don't serve your ultimate goals? Each time you take on something that doesn't align with your core values, you're not just using up time, you're diluting your essence, your personal power. This act of taking control also intertwines with the concept of responsibility. Stoicism doesn't just teach us to endure life's hardships, but to embrace responsibility for our own lives, including our happiness and well-being. It's about accepting that if you want life to change, you must change how you live it. This might mean rethinking your daily habits, rethinking your commitments, and restructuring how you spend your time. Imagine the freedom that comes with this control. Suddenly, you're not at the mercy of your circumstances. You can choose how to react when things go awry and how to forge ahead with your long-term vision, no matter the short-term setbacks. This kind of mindset shift is powerful. It's not just about avoiding the negative either. It's about actively creating the positive, about making space in your life for the things that truly matter. And let's not forget about the peace that comes from this approach. When you're in control, there's a profound sense of calm that pervades everything you do. You're no longer caught in the tide being swept this way and that. Instead, you move through life with a stoic tranquility, knowing that come what may, you have the inner resources to handle it. Discipline and sacrifice might sound like big heavy words, stones that bring to mind grueling workouts or giving up all your favorite foods. But when you really think about it, these concepts are about creating a life that aligns with your deepest values and aspirations. It's about choosing your long-term well-being over momentary pleasures, and that's a powerful choice to make. When we dive into Stoic philosophy, we see a strong emphasis on self-control and the power of living according to reason rather than being swayed by fleeting emotions or desires. The Stoics weren't about denying themselves joy, but they were all about choosing a joy that lasts, choosing virtues that stand the test of time over quick fixes or superficial success. Building discipline is essentially building the muscle that helps you consistently make those choices. It's the practice of lining your actions with your values, day in and day out, even when it's not the easy thing to do. Now, let's talk about sacrifice. Sacrifice is often seen as giving something up, but in a Stoic sense, it's more about investment. You're not losing something, you're investing in something greater. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve your ultimate goals, you're saying yes to something else that does. Want to build a business? That might mean sacrificing lazy weekends. Aiming to be healthier? That might mean passing on deserts. It's all about priorities, and making those tough choices consistently helps you build a life that truly reflects who you are and who you want to be. And here's the thing about discipline and sacrifice. They feed into each other. The more disciplined you are, the easier it becomes to make sacrifices because you're clear about what you're sacrificing for. It's not deprivation if it's a choice that leads you to a richer, more fulfilling life. In fact, that clarity and purpose can bring a profound sense of satisfaction and empowerment. It's like looking at a map and knowing you're on the right path. Even if the terrain is tough, you know where you're heading, and every step, no matter how challenging, is a step toward your destination. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That sounds great in theory, but it's not so simple in practice. And you're right, it's not simple. But it is straightforward. Decision plan doesn't complicate your life. It simplifies it. Think about it. When you have clear rules for how you live, rules you've set for yourself, based on what truly matters to you, every decision becomes easier. There's less hemming and hawing over every little choice because you already know what's important. You become more decisive, more free, and ironically more free. Free from indecision, from regret, and from feeling like you're not in control of your life. Embracing discipline and sacrifice also leads to greater self-respect and self-trust. Each time you follow through on a commitment to yourself, you prove to yourself that you are reliable, that you are worthy of trust, and that you have what it takes to achieve your goals. That's a powerful foundation to build your life on. It's not about being rigid or harsh with yourself. It's about being honest about what it takes to live a life you can be proud of, and then having the courage to live it. So, while discipline and sacrifice might seem daunting, remember that they are the tools with which you carve out a life worth living. They are the practices that allow you to rise above the chaos of everyday decisions and distractions and focus on what's truly important. And in the grand scheme of things, that's not just important, it's everything. building a disciplined life, a life where sacrifices are seen as stepping stones to greater achievement, is what Stoicism is all about. It's not the easy path, but it is the rewarding one. When you think about it, how we organize our day says a lot about what we value. A cluttered, chatty schedule can reflect a chatty mind or life. But a well-structured day where every task and every moment has a purpose, that speaks volumes about intentionality and focus. It's not just about getting things done, it's about making sure what we do matters, aligning our daily actions with our long-term visions. In Stoicism, there's a big emphasis on living deliberately. It's not enough to float along, reacting to whatever life throws at us. Stoics teach us the value of proactivity, of crafting our lives with the same care and attention that a sculptor might use when chiseling a statue from marble. And how do we do that? By carefully choosing how we spend our time and energy each day. Scheduling and focus aren't just productivity tools. They are fundamental practices that help us live more virtuously and purposefully. Think about your typical day. How much of it is spent doing things that truly resonate with your core values? How much is spent in distraction or in activities that don't really serve you? The truth is, without a clear schedule and a sharp focus, it's all too easy to drift off course. Our modern world is engineered to pull our attention in a million different directions. Notifications, the endless scroll on social media, the latest drama. It can all take away from time that could be spent on more fulfilling pursuits. This is where the art of focus comes in. Focus is not just a skill. It's a practice, almost a form of meditation. It's about bringing your attention back to the present moment and to the task at hand again and again, no matter how many times it wanders. It's about being present in your own life. And scheduling? That's about priority. It's about deciding what's important enough to take up your time. A solid schedule protects your focus by creating boundaries, shielding your energy from the myriad of less important things that could otherwise obsess your day. Stoicism isn't just about enduring life. It's about enjoying it in a rational, thoughtful way. By setting a schedule that reflects your priorities, you're effectively mapping out a path to your best self. And by sticking to this schedule with focused intent, you're walking that path every single day, regardless of external circumstances. This kind of disciplined approach frees you from the tyranny of whims and impulses, and instead grounds your actions in your own chosen value. And let's not underestimate the peace that comes with this kind of structured approach. When you know what you need to do and when you're going to do it, there's a certain calm that settles in. You no longer need to fret about when you'll get to your tasks or whether you're making progress on your goals. Your schedule has it covered. This clarity and peace of mind are priceless. They allow you to fully engage with each task, each moment with full confidence that you're exactly where you need to be. So, how do we start? Begin by evaluating how you currently spend your day. Identify the time sinks, the habitual activities that don't serve your larger goals. Next, think about what you truly want to accomplish both in the short term and the long term. Now, craft your schedule around these insights. Block out time for the activities that drive you toward your goals and be ruthless about cutting out the distractions. Remember, focus and scheduling are skills, and like all skills, they improve with practice. The more you practice focusing on the task at hand and adhering to a well-thought-out schedule, the more natural it will become. Over time, what once felt restrictive will start to feel like freedom. The freedom to live a life that's fully aligned with your deepest values and aspirations. In a world that often seems obsessed with outcomes and end results, it's easy to forget that the journey, the process itself, is where the real magic happens. It's where we learn, grow, and truly make a difference in our own lives and the lives of others. We get so focused on the destination that we sometimes speed past the experiences that shape us, the moments where we find our true strengths and weaknesses. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control. And while we can influence outcomes, we can't control them entirely. What we can manage every day settles our actions and attitude after the actions, and assess the process by shifting our focus from outcomes to the actions that lead to those outcomes. We gain a much deeper sense of control and satisfaction. It's not just about reaching the peak of the mountain. It's about becoming someone who can climb mountains at will. Think about it this way. If you were only fixed on getting to the top of a mountain, you might miss the lessons learned from the struggle of the ascent, the adaptation to the harsh winds, or the strategy needed to tackle the next climb. These experiences are invaluable. They don't just prepare us for one specific goal, but for any challenge that might come our way. In focusing on the process, we become versatile, resilient, and prepared. We become masters of adaptation, not just momentary champions. And here's something else to consider. When we focus solely on results, we're often tempted to take shortcuts. We might achieve our immediate goals, but at what cost? By valuing the process, we ensure that we are building something sustainable, that we're not just building a house of cards ready to topple over at the first sign of trouble. We're laying down a strong foundation, brick by brick, with our own hands. This approach breeds a type of integrity and authenticity that quick wins simply can't match. Moreover, by embracing the process, we learn to find joy in the everyday. Each step becomes rewarding, not just the moment of crossing a finish line. For Stoics, joy comes from performing each task with care and attention, from living according to virtue in the present moment, without being overly attached to the past or anxiously awaiting the future. This mindful approach frees us from the anxiety of what-ifs and if-onlys, allowing us to live fully in the now, appreciating each stroke of the brush as we paint the canvas of our lives. So, how do we make this shift in perspective? Start by setting small, process-oriented goals alongside your larger, outcome-based goals. For instance, instead of just aiming to lose weight, an outcome, set a goal to walk a certain number of steps each day, or to cook a healthy meal each evening. The process. Celebrate these small victories as fervently as you would the achievement of the final goal. Over time, these process goals will build habits, and habits build the kind of life you want to live, one day at a time. In erasing the process, we also cultivate patience, a virtue highly regarded in Stoic philosophy. Patience isn't just about waiting, it's about maintaining a good attitude while working toward your goals, knowing that some things just can't be rushed. It's about trusting the process and being open to the lessons it teaches us. Sometimes, in the constant buzz of our social world, the idea of solitude can feel like a forgotten art. It's almost as if being alone has become synonymous with loneliness or isolation. But there's a profound difference between being lonely and embracing solitude. When we choose solitude, we're not just stepping away from the noise of the world, we're stepping closer to ourselves. It's in these moments of quiet that we often find our deepest clarity and strength. Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches the mastery of self through rational thought and emotional resilience, places great value on solitude. The Stoics understood that some of the most important conversations we will ever have are the ones we have with ourselves. In solitude, away from the influence of external voices and distractions, we can hear our own thoughts more clearly. We can reflect, plan, and connect with our deeper values and aspirations. This isn't about escaping from the world, but rather preparing ourselves to engage with it more effectively. Embracing solitude gives us the space to practice self-reflection, a key Stoic exercise. It allows us to examine our lives critically and compassionately, to acknowledge our flaws and to celebrate our strengths. This kind of introspection helps us understand our motivations and correct our course if we find we've strayed from our chosen path. By regularly engaging in this practice, we build a stronger sense of self-awareness, which is crucial for personal growth and resilience. Moreover, solitude can be a powerful tool to strengthen our inner resolve. In the quiet, we are the sole architects of our thoughts. There is no crowd to sway us, no peer pressure to influence our decisions. It's just us and our principles. This environment is where we can best cultivate fortitude and endurance. It's where we learn to be self-reliant, finding comfort in our own payment and confidence in our own decisions. But how do we embrace solitude in a world that often fears it? Start small. Dedicate a few minutes each day to sit quietly with your thoughts. Maybe it's a morning routine where you reflect on what you want from the day, or perhaps an evening ritual where you ponder what you've learned and how you've grown. These moments alone are not about idleness. They are a place to reset pauses that can help recalibrate your mind and spirit. Remember, the goal of embracing solitude is not to disengage from the relationships and activities that enrich our lives. Instead, it's about creating a balance. Just as our bodies need rest after exertion, our minds benefit from quiet after the clamor. Solitude provides a sanctuary where our minds can rest and recover, gaining the strength needed to face the complexities of life with a calm and steady demeanor.